Tick tock, it's time to rock. Hey, hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey guys.
Yeah, man.
Awesome,
How are we?
awesome. Hey, I'm good. I just want to remind you guys that I've been having internet problems. So if I drop out, guys, please just carry on with the show. Okay. Eventually I'll come back in. So don't bother waiting. Just carry on. And I'll come back in. Throw me a life boy, and I'll come back.
throw you a life boy. Okay.
Are you allowed to call them life boys anymore?
No.
Life persons.
Life person. No. Fortunately, it's spelled B-U-O-Y.
Oh, well, you know what some
differently.
people are like. It sounds the same, Simon.
Ah, therefore it is. Ah.
It's my pleasure, as usual, to introduce the Sunday show team. Myself from Hamilton, New Zealand. We have somewhere to the side of me. Is it the left or the right? Are you on my left or right, Brad?
He's on your left.
He's on my left. Okay, on the left is Brad from Lockdown, Melbourne. Lockdown, Melbourne.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're
And
back
down
in
there,
lockdown, are you?
we've got Simon from Free from Free UK.
Yep. Free UK. We just nicknamed him Mitch Mitchell back in the green room. Don't know why, but we just did.
It's more like animal than Mitch Mitchell, to be honest. Although I don't know, maybe not so different.
Awesome. Look, we've got some cats in the chat. Simon, who's waiting for us?
Yes, we've got Good Morning DTube first in. First up, hope you're good. Mark Tanner, good morning, Mark. Hope you're all right. And the dog pa, Woof.
Woof.
Lovely. So yeah. And some bloke called Simon Williams. So morning
Woof.
all. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're all good. And in your world, which is important.
Yeah. So this show is about an album that came out in 1994. We're going to run this show probably just a little bit different to what we've done in the past, guys. We're not going to be sort of too caught up in a lot of things. We're going to have a bit of a tone talk discussion there, which is always interesting when we get an opportunity to do that. So Brad's going to lead us through that, through some of his experiences that he's garnered over the years to share with us. And Simon and I, and obviously everyone else in the chat, can add some bits and pieces on trying to get that magical Jimi Hendrix tone, which I don't think is too hard when you consider some other tones.
Yeah, it's some of these, isn't it? This is the tricky bit.
It's a unique tone, but it's easily achievable. Like if you got the right gear, you know what I mean. But the playing's the hard part, Andrew.
Yeah.
The playing's the hardest part, you know.
Yeah. I said this a while ago on a earlier show that we did. I remember I was at high school and there was this guy there. I won't mention his name just in case he watches the show. And Bruce was his name. Anyway, I remember we were having
generic.
No, it's truly his name was Bruce. And anyway, I remember we were having a conversation, and I had this revelation, guys. I remember thinking, after listening to Hendrix, shit, this guy's playing lead and rhythm at the same time. And I was sure of it. And I remember going to school saying, wow, Jimi Hendrix plays lead and rhythm at the same time. And I remember this guy, Bruce, going, no, he doesn't. No, it's impossible. It's impossible for anyone to play lead and rhythm at the same time.
This pre-puberty.
I remember
like
that. And I remember sitting there thinking, because I was, peaceful hippie back then. I remember thinking, man, okay. But anyway, after a few years and a bit of research and a few more conversations, you actually find out that's exactly what he was doing.
Yeah. Good. So we should say good morning to Hugh Caldwell and Johnny Heartbreaker. Morning, team. Hope we're good. Hugh Caldwell says, Hendrix tone, dial in what you think it is, then dial it back a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, Johnny. Yeah, it's easy to realize you're not Jimmy. Yes.
Yes. It's very easy to, realize you're not Jimi Hendrix. That's for sure.
Damn. Yeah. Very, very easy.
Yeah. One key ingredient, Stratocaster, but we'll talk about that later.
One key ingredient, Stratocaster.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, yes, it is the When you go back to this sort of time, and clearly, it's not pedal boards of effects, things like that. It is all about, what you could do with that, and nobody could do more with that than James Marshall Hendrix.
Always thought, good starting point is a reasonable wah pedal, a reasonable Strat, and something that's got that Marshall-y tone to it that's fairly driven, and a reasonably good fuzz pedal makes a big difference too. So that's pretty much amazing what he could achieve with just those simple little things, But yeah, I'm sure we'll get a little bit more as we go along.
A mic stand comes in handy, and some lighter fluid helps apparently with the tone too, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, we'll ask the man himself.
Oh yes, Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy. That's funny. That is. Yeah. Need to keep an eye out for this show, Brad. Definitely.
Yes. Probably. I'll try and position it somewhere. Hang on.
Good morning, Will Varela. And how you doing? Thanks for joining. We're good.
Yeah. Keep them there. And we got Teresa here. Hey guys, I tried to do some research on this album, and I spent
Morning,
probably half a day trying to get some information. There's not a lot of info I could find on this album, so I'm just sort of basically going to rely on everyone else to sort of jump in and offer a little bit of a comment, because my intro is only going to be a couple of sentences. Clearly, it's a compilation album that came out in 1994, arguably one of the best compilation albums. And if I remember rightly, I think Brad mentioned the last show that this compilation was one that was released by the record company as opposed to the Hendrix family. So, yeah, I wonder if that had any effect on the final product. I remember Brad saying that you brought the new CD or something like that, so there was no difference in the production qualities.
I was very disappointed, actually, but I mean that's a whole nother argument in itself. Sometimes I think what the maybe I shouldn't say it like I want to, but I think re-releasing things just with fooling fans that it's remastered this and that, and then listening to my ear, there was no volume difference, there was no quality difference. It was what it was. It was literally just a re-release under the banner that holds the entity of Hendrix, which I'm sure deep down inside that personally I think Hendrix wouldn't be too impressed with the way things have gone in that sense, but we're not going political here. We're just grateful to get any Hendrix material that's released. But a lot of the stuff that at some point or another has been released, and then they keep re-releasing things, and it's a little bit frustrating at times when people are spending their hard-earned cash on things, and it's not maybe this is going off the rails a little bit, shouldn't really talk about it. But I kind of feel like with the Jimmy Blues album, I bought it, and then I bought it again when it was remastered apparently and re-released under the family name and stuff like that, and there was absolutely no difference, like none.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's one thing that I did manage to pick up on my research. So look, it's good for us to talk about these things, because behind every artist and every band and their legacy, there's a fortune, and families and recording companies and managers, etc., are always going to be involved in it, and that's fine, so long as guys like us and everyone else, all the cats in the chat, get some music to listen to and appreciate and dissect and discuss. And that's one of the reasons why we're here. I remember when this album came out, there was a lot of buzz, and we like talking about this, don't we, guys? Because we remember going back to record stores, in the right through the 1990s. Record stores were places to be. Simon worked in a record store for years, so he knows exactly what I'm talking about. We even went and watched artists sign stuff at record stores. So they were places to be. And if you were tight with someone who worked in the record store, this is pre-internet, you found out, you knew, oh shit, in 3 months' time there's this new compilation album coming out, and you guys need to check it out. So that was the buzz we got. Did you guys, were you aware of this at 1994 when the album came out? Were you part of the drop, or was it something that you guys experienced after?
Personally, I bought it the day it came out because I knew it was coming out. So, anything that was Hendrix related, I was jumping on and buying immediately as soon as it was released. But yeah, again, when I first bought it back in the mid-90s, when it first came out, there was a little bit of promotion around to promote that it was coming too. So the hype that there was some unreleased material on it, as always, is what sucked me in, because obviously I thought, I'm not going to buy something unless there's something new on it. And sure enough, there's like 4 or 5 reasonably new tracks that no one had ever heard. Arguably never heard, actually, because I've heard people say, no, that was released on this and that was released on that. And so, yeah. But for me, I'd never heard a lot of these material at this time.
Simon?
Well, oddly, I wasn't part of this at all, because I've not really heard this album. I've heard some tracks off it, but I've not really heard this album until now. I wasn't... I've got the 3 original studio records, one of which is the one, our Experience stereo one and stuff on here. But no, I wasn't really. I think my kind of view of it was that, that thing about, how deep into these vaults of jams and stuff can you go, and how much worth is there to actually, how much is it adding to the canon of Jimi Hendrix, So I was kind of a bit, probably in the 90s, probably a bit, had my head somewhere else, in work and stuff like that, and not really, just pre-internet, the 90s. So I didn't probably didn't notice it very much coming out as a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been quite fun to listen to it kind of fresh, Yeah.
How about yourself, Andrew? Like, give us your rundown of when you got it. Did you rush out and buy it when it first came out?
Yeah, I got this on a Friday night. Friday night in town was the late night, and it was something that you did. You went to the bookstores, to get in magazines that were out, and I'm talking about guitar magazines here, guys. I'm talking about music magazines, all right? Okay. Not Men's Health magazines or anything like that.
We're talking
the music magazine. Yeah,
we're
talking about real magazines here. And obviously going to Trax Music, which was an event. Cookie, who worked there for years, was always a key person to sort of touch base with. And we did a show with Richard Fox, who's a Rolling Stones nut based up in Auckland now, in one of the world's top 10 for Rolling Stones fans. He did the same thing. He had a friendship with Cookie too, so he was able to tap him to what was coming around and coming out. So getting this was an event. And one of the great things that I've done with my co-hosts is we've done a lot of albums around that time period, which were events. It was like, I'm sure we all know exactly what I'm going to say. It was like taking that record or that DVD or that CD or that cassette, whatever you had, and taking it and running or going to put it into whatever device you had, and just listening to what secrets, what magic was going to jump out,
Yeah.
Well, that being said, I remember back then I think I had a CD player in my car. Either way, I think I might have been a CD Walkman maybe instead. I was listening to it on when I bought it. I remember just listening to it as I was going out, and I'd obviously heard the first track, which we'll get into in a minute, before, from a documentary. And obviously I was just like, okay, hopefully. And then the next track, I was like blown away. I was just like, wow, this is great. And obviously when we get into the tracks, I'll go get more into that. So, and a sort of guitarist at the time that was just learning how to play and very heavily into Jimi Hendrix and, trying to copy and learn all those licks and learn all this stuff. There was just like this whole new catalog of licks to learn. There was all this stuff. I was just like, and because it's predominantly blues, it's like now there's so many more opportunities to sit and rewind that one little lick and try and learn that lick over. Like,
slow it down.
That's what I used to do, is to sit there and I used to have a CD player that would replay just like 10 seconds of a song, which you start where you want it to replay from and then end it like dop, dop, and then it would just rotate that, and I'd just sit and play that lick, play it till I could damn well play it as close as I could possibly get it. So, yeah.
Awesome. Before we get into the tracks, is this the time where the rock professor needs to bring out the cane, the strap, or the ruler and school us in some in some history? I think this is probably the best time for it. Should we wake him up? Should we wake the master up?
Wake him up.
Brad Cook is in the chat now. And...
Oh, that's the wrong one.
Wrong one.
That's Philip Safe. Oh, I can't be competing with that.
All right. Sack that bloody editor.
Pay attention, class. It's the Rock Professor here with another look at the events surrounding this week's classic album.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. have a couple of things for you guys today. A couple of Hendrix facts. Because clearly the album's from all over, not 1 year. So I haven't chosen anything from you. So the first fact: Hendrix used to play 3 super lead 100-watt Marshalls during his performance. Usually he played them in unison and would turn the control knobs to maximum level. This has become known as the Hendrix setting. Everything on 10. This is great. Jimmy was once refused service in a Liverpool bar because the bartender thought he was a clown. The circus was in town and the bar had a rule: no clowns allowed. Oh dear, that's what you get for outlandish clothes. That's funny. Hendrix was supposed to make an appearance in the Beatles TV film Magical Mystery Tour, but scheduling conflicts prevented this from happening. Instead, the Fab Four had to write a scene for the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band. And if you don't know who the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band, check them out. Yeah, what have you not come across them at all? Yes, they were. Well, are they sort of still going in some semblance of form? But the great
With
Vivian
about
Stanton.
150 members that have
150
passed
members.
through them.
Yeah. I've seen them recently with yes, they're great fun, great sort of anarchic, shambolic. But they are checking out the great Vivian Stanton used to be their lead singer. If you want a piece of sort of Python-esque type humor thing, he did a thing called Sir Henry at Rawlingson's End, which is it's him doing a load of characters about this sort of crazy English peer called Sir Henry. It's been out of the Raj in India, Solitude Tiger. He's completely mad. The whole thing is hilarious. If you like that Python-esque thing, it's a wonderful piece of. It's also a wonderful piece of writing as well. So there's tremendous. The butler is called Old Scrotum, the Wrinkled Retainer. So there we are. That's my 3 facts fun facts about Jimi Hendrix this week, kids. Keep paying attention.
You.
I'll be back.
Thank you, Rock Professor. Always appreciate that. And we'll stop at some stage during the show for fire thumb, or is it fire finger? I can't remember.
Thumb.
Thumb. The fire thumb.
Dr. Fire Thumb.
Brad Cook and the Fire Thumbs.
Brad Cook and the fire thighs.
Look at that. Look at my fan. Let's see.
What have we got there? The Steelers. Where did you steal that from?
It's the band I used to be in. Well,
oh, really?
As a covers band, guess what you would call the Steelers? Because you steal other people's material, trample it into the dust.
Oh, here we go.
Let's see. This is Jumping Jack Flash.
Oh, wow.
Starting off, see? Look at that. I just found a load of them. Yeah, it's funny.
Awesome.
What I did in my youth.
Appreciate that. We always appreciate a bit of relic hunting, bit of artifact finding.
Yeah. Recorded by a bloke called Jim Barr, who was the bass player in Portishead.
Oh, wow.
Called Portishead. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, we know who he is. We don't know who Simon is and the rest of the. We don't know who the rest of the Steelers are, but we know who he is.
Great guy.
Oh my gosh!
We were a bit, when we phoned him up, because he's a studio in Bristol. We phoned him up and we said, look, we'd like to come and do some recording because we need a sort of promo CD to do stuff. We said, look, we're a covers band, we'd quite understand if you don't want to do it. And he's like, no, I used to play in covers bands, I'm fine. He said, I've done all that, it's fine. Because you think somebody's been in Portishead, you think, well, they might just be interested in doing original stuff and not mucking about with a covers band sort of thing. But no, he was really cool about it.
We've got Arvin in the chat.
Arvin.
G'day, Arvin.
Hey, how you doing?
Awesome. Always a pleasure to see Arvin. Been with us right from the beginning, and I suppose this is always a good time for us to do a special shout out to a very good friend of the channel who's going through some tough times. We are always thinking about you, Warren, especially when we do these shows. So we don't see your names come up in the chat, but we are thinking of you, brother, and we do wish you the best. And come back and get safe. Get better. Come back to us.
Yeah. Let's hope so, Warren. Keep strong, man.
Definitely. Definitely. Wishing you all the health and warm thoughts and prayers your way, mate.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So we'll get into the track. So like I said to you, I couldn't find a lot of information on this, but I've pulled together a couple of bits and pieces that I'm going to share with you guys, if that's okay. And and then we'll just continue through the album. So the album starts off with arguably one of Jimmy's probably best blues performances, in my opinion. You know, that impromptu thing apparently that he did with a borrowed guitar. I'm talking about the track Hear My Train A Coming, is an acclaimed song, and it's achieved status, I think, amongst hardcore Hendrix fans and indeed probably, you know, blues fans. Very, very, very good choice to open up this collection of songs when you consider the beginning of the blues, obviously, which was with acoustic guitars. And if you have a look at the album cover, you can see on the side portrait of Jimi Hendrix, you've got all these other blues cats that were the guys that were before Jimi Hendrix. So opening with an acoustic song is a good call, and it makes sense, doesn't it? You know, you couldn't start the album, I think, logically with an electric number. But I'm going to put that song down to arguably one of his best blues performances. I'm going to give this a Brad score. Right from the word go. This is a 20 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
But I want to back it up though. When I was a young cat listening to this when it first came out, I didn't like it because I wanted to hear the you know, the electric stuff, you know. So I didn't appreciate this for a long time, but it's certainly a song that's growing on me, and I'd be interested, obviously, as my other co-hosts will be, to hear what you guys in the chat think about our rankings. So that's a 20 out of 10 for me, and I'm going to hand it over to Brad, and then Simon's going to round off.
Well, Hear My Train A Coming, like it's a very raw, intimate performance. It's like the visual of it's worth watching as well. I'll note that was part of a documentary that came out called Jimi Hendrix, I think, at the time. And there's a little, he starts it, he muffles it up, he goes, "Oh, can you delete that? I'm going to start again." And whatever he says there, it shows his vulnerable side. And, you know, everyone knows Jimi Hendrix is the dude that, you know, gets up there, plays behind his back, up between his legs, behind his back, you know, then burning guitars and smashing them up and all that stuff. But he was obviously a very, a little bit of a nervous kind of energy with him as well. He wasn't very comfortable even performing vocally in the studio. He used to want petitions up so people couldn't watch him singing his vocals. So it was, you know, so it's definitely a very raw, intimate performance, and definitely go and watch that footage. There's footage of it on YouTube floating around as well, which is fantastic. The guitar, I'll note, is tuned down 2 whole steps. And you can hear a slight dissonance in one of the strings is slightly out of tune. I've studied this countless times. You know, if anyone knows how difficult it is to tune a 12-string acoustic, you know, I've tuned my 12-string acoustic down to the same and tried to play along with it. It's got a very unique phrasing. It's an original song of his, but he's leaning towards, you know, his early influences in the Delta blues stylings, and his phrasing and vocal at the same time. Look, I love the innocence of this performance, and I have to give it a 20 out of 10 as well, Andrew, because and Simon, it's Hendrix at his most vulnerable and rawness that we've ever seen him, and phenomenal. You know, all you know, guitar players out there, tune down your guitar to 2 whole steps. Try and play along with it, and I can almost guarantee you might get the notes right, but you won't get the feel right. So, yeah, he just had something that you know, which we're going to talk about moving forward, that was something quite unique. And no matter how good of a guitarist you are, it's one of those things where he was tapped into something different. And I firmly believe as soon as he started playing, something else was, you know, taking it for him. He was just channeling what was going through him. So anyway, 20 out of 10 for me.
Awesome. Simon?
Well, interestingly, the 1973 film was the first album of Hendrix that I bought.
Wow.
When it came out. I got it in the cupboard. Sorry, I've got a table in front of my records in my car. I would have got it out otherwise. But so I went to the cinema to see the film, and so clearly that this song had a tremendous impact, because you see him playing it, sitting on a stool with his hat on, playing it, and it's amazingly, and that film has lots of cool stuff in it, live stuff and things, but that's kind of where I came in with Hendrix. I was too young to buy the albums, so I got them later when I but so this is where I came in with Hendrix. The person that strikes me is that it's the great 12-string blues player, Blind Willie McTell. Of course, no one could play the blues like Blind Willie McTell. And so I think it has something of Blind Willie McTell in it as well. But it's a fantastic performance. It shows he can pick up a guitar. Yeah, I don't fancy his chances for tuning it though. 2 whole steps down 12-string in 1973.
Yeah.
Must be pre. I don't know. They must have had tuners then. But yes, I'm not surprised that one of the strings is a bit out of tune. But it's a lovely soulful rendition of the song. I think it's he's got a great style. He's got that percussive style interspersed with the melodies that is all him, and he still does it on acoustic guitar, and it's a fantastic. I give it a Brad score as well, 20 out of 10. It's just it has soul, it has a really soulful style of singing into it, and he really gets into it, and it has everything in it, even though it's an acoustic number. So yeah, it's great, really good. Yeah.
Awesome. Good to see we're on par there. The second song is an interesting song where everyone talks about, All Along the Watchtower, and how, Jimmy appropriated, that song. Born Under a Bad Sign is, a song that he appropriated from a lot of sources. Obviously Booker T. Jones wrote it. Albert King made it famous, and he was obviously clearly aware of that version, and he would have been obviously aware of Cream's version, which came out on the Wheels of Fire, because he was in awe of Clapton, Bruce, and Baker. So what's really interesting though about Jimmy's version is that it's more in the mood of Albert as opposed to Cream's version, so which puts it more in the blues camp, in my opinion. So we can talk about that, see what my colleagues think about that. So Jimmy approached the song on musical turf that was a little bit different, because it was, if I remember, if my information is right, this is a song that he recorded with Band of Gypsies.
Yeah.
100%.
Band of Gypsies in '69 at the record plant. So, but bit of a jam. Came from a jam session, maybe, but I don't know whether or not you guys have got more information there on that. But it's a good example of and a glimpse into how Jimmy, used blue patterns as a launching pad. And, Brad will talk about this a little bit more too, I'm sure, because, you got to start somewhere. And knowing those important blues patterns is going to be the bedrock for any guitar player, learning those patterns. And Jimmy knew that, and he just took it elsewhere. So, look, I love this version. It's a 10 out of 10. It's never a skip. And I'd play this. I'd play this with Albert King's version and Cream's version and this version together. I'd have no problems.
There'd be a lot of noise.
See if
going
they
on, but
started and ended at the same time.
Not together. Sorry, on the same playlist, one after the other. Yeah. My English. Sorry. That was an impromptu thing that came into my mind. But I'd play the three together on a playlist, no problem, and appreciate them for being completely different. Hey, Todd.
Good morning, Todd. Flowers, how you doing? Hope we're good.
Up to me, Andrew.
Yeah. Sorry, bro. Yeah.
Out of 10. Excellent. Well, born under a bad sign. Hendrix is very influenced by like Albert King, and the greats. But I'm sure this version was heavily influenced by Albert King's version. You can really tell this is a Band of Gypsies lineup in this one. The feel is deep. It's very heartfelt. The groove is thick and relentless, which was a trademark thing for Band of Gypsies. They were, if you listen to those performances on the New Year's Eve gigs, 69, 70 New Year's Eve gigs that they did, they were phenomenal, just unbelievable rhythm section. They were just relentless. There's some great use of his middle pickup position and squeezing the notes out with his pick and his finger. I can picture Hendrix has his head tilted back and his eyes closed without a doubt while he's playing this one. Some nice trills and double stops. The fuzz tones at around 2-minute mark are thick and hairy, like really amazing. You got to remember, this is like 1969. I mean, it's just phenomenal, the tones he was pulling for that period. Around the 2:37 mark, and there's an amazing blues league that Hendrix knows how to execute properly. I mean, I've sat there for hours trying to get it right, and it's phenomenal. His wah use is incredible. He makes the guitar sound like someone's in pain. His feel is incredible. At 4 minutes, we see some sustained fuzz tones and runs that are just incredible as well. At around that 5-minute mark, we can hear how Buddy Miles is just holding it down tight, just like as Miss Mitchell, said in an interview, Buddy Miles was like a cement mixer. He just laid down that foundation. It was amazing. I've always loved listening to this. It makes me think they were literally just jamming and they really had no thought behind what they were doing. The ending has some slight variations in the drum beat and some incredible, wah work that's from Hendrix as well. I gave it 10 out of 10. I could talk about it for hours, but I'll stop myself. 10 out of 10. Simon, I'd love to hear what you've got to say.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for that.
I couldn't agree more. There's some really interesting things about it. One is that I'm not a fan of fuzz at all. Most of the time when I hear fuzz, I don't like that kind of sound. That's not somehow tragically it doesn't work for me. But what I notice about this is that he uses it quite subtly. I don't know what he says, but you can hear it, and I made a note of it, but I made a note saying, "Is that using fuzz?" Like clearly there's a thickening of the notes and stuff and the sound, but it wasn't that kind of just blanket kind of. The thing I don't really like about it is that blanket fuzz thing. So clearly quite a subtle use of it. Not going completely. Let's all turn it up to 10, unlike the amps. The other thing is that the wah wah thing as well. He seems to just do it a bit. Yeah, he doesn't do that. I mean, I may be wrong about this, but it sounds to me like, and I went, that he does it a bit. So you get a kind of quite a subtle wah sound change, not a really big wah sound. And that may be the wah. Rather than I don't know, Brad. You can tell me whether that's the way he's got the wah, whether that's the wah he had, only did a bit. But
I mean, he obviously tried lots of different wahs, and at the time he probably had a numerous amount of wahs. But he used to use his wah pedal like as a voice, not necessarily like some other players use it as a, like to get like. I mean, he did use it to get that sort of effect as well at times. But, He used to like phrase with it, like with his notes. So he'd go wow, like he'd find
a bit.
voice.
Yeah.
So
That's really interesting, and not just go wow, 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 wow. I mean, clearly did that too, but I was really interested by that as a kind of that more subtle use of it and things, and to make you think, is he using it there? He is using it there, but but it's not just it's not just up and down the whole thing. So you get that very broad, wide sound span between the two things. That I mean, I think that to me is that's really good. That means it shows you're really thinking about what you're doing, and you're picking out. I think that just to follow on from that, those kind of that use of dynamics and textures, quite a I think is really evident in this, that he does that. He has little drop downs, and and then he does that wah wah thing with great tremendous feel, and tied in with this sort of classic blues soloing, and but then he'll just do sort of 1 minute 30. He does this little kind of chord riff thing as well. Just a little thing that's so cool. You think, what's that? So it's I think I'd give it a 9 out of 10 because I would have liked singing, but in terms of playing, to me, because I'm older, to me Hendrix is the stellar electric guitar player. Somehow there is that thing about him that that he is for me, the stellar guitar, and this is stellar all over. He could just do it, can't he? All those billions of hours of practice and in your sleep or whatever, are clearly evident in this. So it's as I say, I would have quite liked singing, but maybe I duck a point for singing. But clearly never a skip. But it's a masterclass in blues guitar playing, rock blues guitar playing. It's the template, isn't it, in many ways, of that stuff.
Awesome. Fruitcake Tony, thank you for joining us. Will,
morning,
before
Fruitcake.
I get into the next song, you have to tell us what that awesome story is that please.
Good work, Todd Flowers. Chosen wisely. We're getting engaged to a Sheffield Yorkshire lass. That's
awesome.
Tremendous. Well done. Okay.
Right, so the next song, obviously any compilation or any discussion about whether or not you were going to have a blues compilation of Jimi Hendrix songs has to include Red House, and it's probably his most notable contribution to the blues. But the question is, what version? Because there are a lot of versions out there. There's a lot of live versions, and this is where Alan Douglas, the guy who compiled this CD record album, comes into play, because this is one particular choice I think he got right. So he's obviously decided to pass all the live versions out there where Jimmy is improvising like heck, and he's gone with, from what I can gather, he chose the first recording of the song, which is a mono take that appeared on the UK version of Are You Experienced, which was recorded at CBS Studios December the 13th, 1966. And again, Douglas liked this one as opposed to the stereo version that he did a week and a half after this. And I think if you guys aren't aware of that, go and do these comparisons and check it out, because there's something really, really powerful about this song. In the course of my research over the years, I found out too that we've got Noel playing guitar on this as well. So we all know that Noel is famous for being the bass player, but this early on in their relationship and the band's development, he kind of sort of was dipping his toes into sort of going into the bass, and isn't that great on Jimi Hendrix's point perspective, that he realized that.
Mm.
And he needed Noel because Noel had this great hairdo. So he needed to bring Noel in and build his confidence as a band leader. And Jimmy knew that because he was on the Chitlin circuit with other great band leaders. So he knew how a good band leader needs to do that, needs to bring these guitar players and needs to include them and be part of it. And he did that with Noel. And because of that, we've got this magic song, which is phenomenal, which is Jeepers. Yeah, I'm going to hand it over to my co-hosts to talk about it, because I'm sure they've got some other bits and pieces, but no surprise. I'm not going to get timed out on this album. It's Brad's score. It's a 20 out of 10 for me, and it's always a play, and it's always a song I'm going to get someone to listen to. Top 3 Jimi Hendrix songs.
Wow. Okay, that's hard to follow, Andrew. Red House is a staple for me for blues. When I was learning to play guitar, Red House was always that one that had all the licks in it, had all the tricks in it that I wanted to learn, as opposed to listening to other players. I was leaning towards Jimi Hendrix as a blues player. So the mono recording version, which is this one, notably in the intro, it has like a slightly different rundown after the doom 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 doom, like just goes down the pentatonic scale, and I love how he phrases that. It's just on that neck pickup, sounds phenomenal. He's unbelievable with his phrasing. His vocals are really passionate. Proves he's a vocalist as well as a great guitar player. That's something that I think needs to be noted, that he was always very intimidated by, singing. He never really wanted to be a singer, but he knew he had to do it. Obviously, management pushed him as well. But his vocal in this is phenomenal. As a blues vocalist, he wasn't even really trying. He was just doing it. So unreal. There's a slight bit of humor in the lyrics, despite being locked out of a house by his missus. I always love the lyrical content. I think it's quite humorous the way he used to, and he'd always come up with humorous things in his lyrical content, which is great. The solo is incredible, and how he comes into the solo is like, he's just been locked out of his home by his missus and he's heartbroken, but it doesn't matter because he's still got his guitar. Look out, and he takes over, and that's the truth. And I mean, all of us guitar players have been through heartbreak and that, but it doesn't matter because we've still got our guitar, that's all that matters. So, look out now. For me, this is like, there's some lightning in a bottle moments with this in the solo. I'm feeling the strings on the frets during this one. You're feeling I can hear the strings on the fretboard, like on the frets, just where's he's bending, and phenomenal tone. I have to give it a 20 out of 10 as well. Honestly, Red House, if there's any guitarists out there learning to play blues at the moment, this has to be in probably your top 3 songs to sit and learn the licks from. They're just phenomenal. And I'll hand it over. That's just my take on it. Red House, it's jam-packed with blues goodness on guitar.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's a classic Hendrix track, isn't it? One of the classic songs. And it's a fantastic version of this. That's that. I mean, I think that I love the way that he kind of talks in the middle of songs. You go, yeah, the kind of like he's really kind of feeling it as a thing,
like a blues man.
Like a blues man. But yeah, that kind of which clearly this is very blues. I think he does that classic kind of, he sings and then he plays and then he sings and then he plays, that kind of chord response with his guitar. That he does it in a way that only he seems to do it. It's just incredible, just because I think what is so great about him is that he just seems to go, there's a red household, and he'll play something. I mean, and he'll play like a flurry, and he'll play short, and yet it just seems to come out of him, like it just flows out of him. It doesn't seem to be thought about or anything, and yet every single one of them is bang on the money. Really feels it. It's perfectly pitched place to to have that effect and kind of to be a counterpoint to the singing. I think he's just it's just amazing, really. I don't think anyone does it quite like him in that way, with quite it's probably an illusion, but with quite, I feel like it's quite the freedom and quite the sort of unconscious, I know so much that I could just play and it just have another one, bang. It's like tennis, bag of all, serve. I think that the feel is amazing. I think the solo, the blistering flurries, bends, and hell no, it's just, I sometimes find it a bit overwhelming because it's so fantastic with it, really. So it's a 10 out of 10, of course. And I think that that I don't know about you guys. I feel that he alone has a kind of, there is a kind of, when he plays like that and that freedom and things, that it's like unleashing the Furies. There is something primal and kind of visceral and feral about the way he plays. I think that's what sets him apart. That kind of astonishing kind of, like, you feel like you've opened the door to this kind of, this kind of, I don't know, the devil behind the, it's like, and it comes out of you like, absolutely. That's what I feel about it. I feel like there is this wild, feral, crazy thing that he unleashes when he plays that I don't. But I'm sure other people do it. And I'm sure it's only my opinion. That's what I feel, and that's what I feel about setting him apart as the great preeminent guitarist, is because he can do that in a way nobody else can. Mr. Bean is raiding, is he? Quick, where's the siren?
Oh, we'll wait for five or six people to come in here and say Dave A Day before we fire the.
Can we get Johnny to say picture? Yeah. Apparently he's always talking about pictures, which I thought was a bucket. What do I know?
Yeah. And we'll get this right. I'm a New Zealander, Brad's an Australian, and Simon's an Englishman.
Yeah, Johnny, yeah. And Ratbag is in New Zealand saying that's an Australian one.
Yes. A ratbag is a term of endearment for your dodgy friends. for your friends that you'd never take your girlfriend to go and see.
Yeah, I'm suggesting.
I'm sure we've all had friends like that over the years. Got.
Yeah. Friends you don't bring home.
I hope I was never one of those friends that guys never brought their girlfriends to because they thought that I was one of those guys.
How would you ever know?
I wouldn't know. know.
You got to think back and see whether you think he only ever came on his own.
Johnny Bean Road. Hey, Bent Tom. Hey, Bent. I heard that you've been crooked too, Bent. So
yeah.
I hope you're okay,
Bent, Tom. Yeah, absolutely. It's back in the chat anyway. Yeah, we hope you're good, Bent Tom.
Bent, are you going to be on Fruitcake Tony's show tomorrow on Helensville? Because if you are, I'll make sure that I put some time aside at work and jump in the chat and say g'day. So if you want to confirm that, that'll be cool. Guys, the fourth song, obviously.
Say hello to Rick Hefner. Morning, Rick. Fine guitar player, Rick. Check out his stuff. He's a lovely guitar player, Rick. Really
awesome. Awesome. So the fourth song on the album, obviously, it's a seminal influence in the blues. It's Muddy Waters, and the song obviously is Catfish Blues. The great thing about this version is that it's a live recording by the original Jimi Hendrix on an audio track, apparently captured for a program. I can't pronounce it. I'm going to say Hoopla. In Holland, in November '67. So apparently, unlike the Hendrix shows around that time that experienced chaos with their gear and amplification, which was, not working or not as powerful as it should be, this version had the amplification under control. And I suppose from that point of view, that's a good thing, because we like to talk, guys, about how bands or how artists sounded with their full concert or touring gig. So we could do a big deep dive on this later on, or even now if you guys want. I don't know. But what I like about this is that obviously it's an extensive catalogue, as Brad said earlier, with another song. It's full of call and response licks, which is what blues is about. And I just think it's fantastic. It's a brilliant version of the song. I'm going to pass it on to my colleagues. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10, and it's never a skip, ever.
Catfish Blues, yeah. I know Jimmy was really big on, he was really big on this song in particular, but I know he liked to sort of indulge in other songs that were similar as well, by Muddy Waters and all sorts of things. So, but you listen to the intro of this, the fantastic run of notes in the blues intro after the trills. It's like, wow. It's very raunchy strat tone. There's something, quite unique about the way Hendrix plays, but the tone encouraged him to play a certain way as well. So he had a really raunchy tone in this. Most likely at the intro point, it's just the guitar straight into the amp. There's a cool feel. Like Mitch has always amazed me in his ability to swing during a blues tune. Like he has a jazz swing or a big band swing with his style, and that amazes me. He puts that swing feel to a blues, and that's something that is quite unique in itself, and gives that tonality for the band, for the experience. When Hendrix winds up the fuzz in the chorus, it's just like, wow. The sounds, it sounds like a jam throughout to me. The middle psychedelic section is mind-blowing. It's like, and then all of a sudden it just lands back on its feet at about 3 minutes 24. It's just like unbelievable. The drum solo, very Mitch Mitchell. Not many people can play like that and end up back on the one count. That's one thing. A lot of drummers I've played with, a lot of drummers in my time that we've jammed on Hendrix, and they always lose that effing one. Sorry to say it like that, guys, but they always lose that one count because they're trying to do that feel, and Mitch was always freaky like that. And I think that's one reason why Jimmy loved Mitch Mitchell, because he was like the drum version of what he was going on in his head. So they, even though Jimmy liked jamming with other musicians, he always ended up back with Mitch, especially towards the end. And Mitch changed his drum style towards the end as well to suit more where Hendrix was at, which is, there was an unspoken thing between them, is what I'm getting at. Look, that lick Hendrix uses to come back into the solo is incredible. His timing and placement of licks is like next level. No one else really does it like him. I love the way, he dive bombs in the song, and it's like into an explosion of freak out at the end. It's an incredible jam. I gave it 10 out of 10. I imagine being in the room witnessing that. That's what I tried to think of when I was listening to it, going, what being in this? So yeah, Simon, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on it. 10 out of 10 for me as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? From the hammer on and offs that he does at the beginning, that classic at the beginning of the song. You think, that'll be Jimmy then doing it to, again. I'll just get that. He does that rhythm, and then he does the high notes, and then he does that in the verse, that call and response with his guitar in the way that only he does. And as you say, the wild solo. I mean, it's just it's like that thing about it. Just it's a kind of explosion to me. I know that's what I feel about it. Is that it's like he just goes, and it's like it's not stepping off the cliff. It's like taking a running jump at it and hurling yourself. And clearly it's not worked out where he's going to play. He just blasts into it and just absolutely, it takes my head off every time when you. I mean, most people work stuff out and things like that. That's fine, it's great, But to be able to go, and I know, to be able to just go like that, just go, off the cliff, and just have so much in your armory that that to use in that situation, to me, it's a kind of visceral experience like no other. Really, I've seen lots of guitarists, nobody does it quite like that. It's I've seen, I'm someone like, one of the things when Ariel Posen, who I went on, he you see him, you can see him when he'll start something and he'll be a little bit like out of focus, and then he'll so he clearly he's happy to step off the cliff and just start something and do it, which is amazing to watch 3 feet away. Because you can see the sort of mind clicking it, and then he'll get into a groove, and then he'll get into a thing, and then it'll come. Which is, I'm jealous of that in a way that, But Hendrix is just, I'm taking a running dive at it because I know it's just going to be, like that. So, I find all of this, that kind of intoxicating. Good morning, Robot Master Switch. It's. By the way, did you see Will Varela went to see the Band of Gypsies in 1969?
Wow.
Did you see that? He commented on it. I saw them in 1969.
Very jealous.
Yeah, Will. I'm too young for that, sadly. But that's fantastic. But so this is a 10 out of 10. As I say, because for me, that's what Jimmy is. He's like a sort of law, a sort of freak of nature, in the way he plays, and I absolutely feel it so much. It's tremendous.
Awesome. The next song, guys, is a bit of hodgepodge of research. So correct me if I get anything wrong. And just remember, guys, that we are offering opinions, and we're trying to offer succinctly, some background information on these albums. And again, I've got to repeat myself. If I get something wrong, or my co-host gets something wrong, correct us in the chat or whack a comment on the video afterwards, and we'll renegotiate it. So at the heart of Electric Ladyland, at the heart of that album is a song called Voodoo Child. And the next song's really, really interesting because it's apparently 3 alternate takes of Voodoo Child that Douglas has concocted and used his wonderful editing ability and his musical ear to create the song called Voodoo Child Blues. And I didn't know anything about that in 1994 when this album came out. I just remember walking around probably like this for about a week going, and it wasn't until later on when you start sort of getting a bit of information. So what's really cool about this song, what I really dig about this song, is that you've got Jimmy dueling with Steve Winwood's organ, because obviously it's the same, band that he had in Electric Ladyland, which is really, really cool. And we need to do a show on Steve Winwood at some stage. I know that we've done some Blind Faith album, but we need to talk about Stevie, because cheapers, what he contributes with his organ on this is in itself spectacular.
Yeah.
And then the rhythm section is you've got Jack Cassidy playing bass. And what's really cool about Jack Cassidy's bass, and this is no disrespect to Noel, and I suppose it's probably due to Douglas's production as well, but the bass is more prominent, and I really like that. I love that. I just find that hypnotic and intoxicating. And one more thing too, you know, Mitchell's drumming on this, I think he's at the peak of his powers. And those Impossible Fools, I don't know how he's doing that. I don't know how, but I'm not a drummer, but I'm listening to something that I think's impossible to play, and it's remarkable. It's a remarkable song, and I'm going to give it, because of all those reasons, a 20 out of 10. It's remarkable. It's just created in the studio with all this energy and passion that Jimi Hendrix and these cats at Electric Ladyland had, and it's there full force for us. Love it. Brad.
Well, Voodoo Child Blues is one of the, like, from Electric Ladyland. This is obviously the band that, you know, they were in a process of jamming out what we know is the version on Electric Ladyland. So Alan Douglas, obviously, there was two versions that he concocted, put them together. He very cleverly, obviously, done that. But it just goes to show that the band themselves obviously kept their timing very similar on each take, because it's very, very close. And I can't really hear where the edit is and where it's joined together. But so yeah,
nor can I.
And I've tried to analyze it and work out. Maybe someone might be able to give us a time mark on the song if they know. But for me, I love the Electric Ladyland version. I love the guitar tone. I love the tones. I love everything that they're playing. To me, this is like 8 minutes 48 seconds of brilliance and jamming. I mean, I love Jimmy's playing in this. I love how he plays like this, that real deep Delta vibe, but Jimmy, like his way. You know, he's at the start, you know, have mercy, you know, he's very raw and deep, embedded in that deep groove. Obviously, it's an outtake from the Electric Ladyland sessions, like I said. Steve Winwood on organ is setting the mood with some amazing playing and vamping and everything like that on the, you know, and Mitch and Jack Cassidy are laying down an amazing groove for everyone to float on top of. You know, talking about fuzz sounds, like the fuzz tone in this is incredible. You know, at 4 minutes 44, you know, 4 minutes 44 is my favorite section, with the trills leading into the drum frenzy by Mitch. There's some serious vamping in this session. Again, I have to sort of, I hate doing it, but I have to give it 20 out of 10. It's for me, it's one of those things where I've sat and listened to it and analyzed it, like Andrew just mentioned, and I've listened to it a lot. I'm trying to pick up where the edit is. Obviously, Mitch's timing was very similar on each take. I encourage everyone to go and listen to this in the dark, no light on in the room. Just imagine with your eyes shut that you're actually in this room listening to these guys performing. It's magic, because the majority of this is all live. There's no overdubs here. It's all live. So that's all I'm going to say. 20 out of 10. Simon, it's your turn, mate.
Yeah, interestingly, Voodoo Child evolved from Catfish Blues as a song. So, you know, as an amalgamation of Muddy Water songs, basically making a medley of verses based on Muddy Water songs, including Rolling Stones, Still a Fall, and Rolling and Tumbling. So, which is quite interesting that you have Catfish Blues and then you have Voodoo Child. It's clearly Hendrix evolved one from the other. So it's quite a neat bit of programming. The music critic Charles Shaar Murray. I don't know if you know who Charles Shaar Murray is. He's a great writer from the NME in the 70s, and he's written a book about Jimi Hendrix called Crosstown Traffic, which is excellent. He says that basically Voodoo Child is a virtual chronological guided tour of blues styles, ranging from early Delta blues through the electric blues of Muddy Waters and John Lee Hooker to the more sophisticated style of B.B. King and the cosmic blurt of John Coltrane. So I think I could think from that you can see where we are with this as a song. It's as you say, Brad. It's an astonishing kind of, it's got a bit of organ. It got some organ on it as well for some extra texture, which is cool. But yeah, again, that I'm gonna say it again. That they get into the song and you do those hammer-ons to start again. Classic Hendrix opener. When it gets into the solos and things, as I say, it's like opening the doors to some primal thing that I find amazing. Really, it blows me away when I hear it, because it's yes, indeed, #never a skip. And so I think it's a 10 out of 10 for me, and I'd never skip it. I think it has, So one thing about Hendrix is he's always got vibe and feel, isn't he? In spades, and I think this is no exception. And I'd go with Charles Shaar Murray's assessment. That thing about it being going through the whole gamut of blues all the way through, and extra thrown in for good measure. And the wild guitar at the end, just kind of blistering the paint off the walls, But that ability to play huge, great flurries of notes and then go back to a little riff and go, it's just fantastic. So yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. Clearly not a skip. #no skip.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Brad's obviously shot off to go and get another Coke or something. So we'll just wait and just hang out and just do a quick shout out to the guys in the chat. So we really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for the kind words, Hugh. And thank you guys, D-Tube and Mark, for getting people over here to hang out with us. We really, really appreciate it. We enjoy what we're doing. We get together a couple of times a week and offer a couple of different shows. So, yeah, it's really nice to have you guys here. If you guys haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do that. We're on about 560 subs. Our goal is to get 1,000 by the end of the year. So, yeah, thank you guys for sharing our channel. We're humbled. Where did you go?
Oh, I had to use the men's room and then grab a drink.
You didn't have to. You didn't run around that block 4 times, did you?
Let's just share it with let's just share, my habits.
No. I just know you're I know you're a fitness guy, mate. Yeah.
In the gym.
Okay. I was just because we wanted you to be part of the ranking, so we were just shooting the breeze with the cats in the chat.
Sorry,
no problem. It's cool. It's cool. I know. When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah, I had to
Thanks,
go.
Hugh. Thanks for subbing, Hugh. Good stuff.
Yeah, appreciate it. And Robot Master Switch, did we do a shout out to Robot? Robot's the recipient of our first ever channel t-shirt. You guys stay tuned because we're cooking up another competition. So hang in there. And we're a channel that actually gives away our prizes too, unlike some channels out there who do all these apparently competitions, but no one ever wins. But you'll win something on our channel, even if it's a shout out.
Even if you don't like it, you still win it.
Yeah.
Good night, Jay.
Guys.
Sleep well, man.
See you, Jay. Okay, so in my research, guys, apparently Alan Douglas was a little bit what's the word? A little bit concerned about whether or not he was going to include Manish Boy. And I'm glad he did. I'm glad he did because it's a blues album, and the version that we get is a version that's completely different from Muddy Waters' version, isn't it? It's up tempo. It's a version that apparently the Band of Gypsies played before they became a band. So you've got Billy Cox and Buddy Miles and Jimmy playing this version. Again, I understand it's an edited version. So again, and I'm going to take Will's comment in the chat in account. If he did this for money, well, that's great. That's fine. That's okay. But there was also some wonderful magic that he was applying on these takes to give us this. So I appreciate that for what he's done in the studio. Right, getting back to this. So midway to this, through the song, you've got that quick bass and the drum breakdown that I'm sure my colleagues will talk about. There's an overdubbed solo, and I understand that the guitar, and I'm sure Brad will correct me if I'm wrong, is a heavily processed Octavia pedal on this, from what I can hear and from the research. So we're into sort of giving facts that are correct. So if I'm wrong there, guys, let me know. What else am I going to say about this? I'm looking at my notes, bullet points here, bullet points. I don't know how many versions. I don't know. I couldn't find how many versions Alan attempted to piece together.
It's only a couple.
A couple? Okay. I couldn't find that, but I'm glad you've. Yeah, look. Interesting version of the song. Not my favorite version of the song. I wanted to give it a 10 out of 10, guys, because it was, the start of Band of Gypsies, and I like that kind of stuff. But I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10, and I'm comfortable with that. So I'm going to hand it over to Brad and then obviously Simon to add their opinions.
Yeah, well, from my understanding, it's 2 or 3 takes they hybrided this together. Back to the song. Just touching quickly on that, what Alan's done there. I mean, us Hendrix nuts get to capture some of this magic that was done in the studio without the mess ups where they stopped and probably started another take. So we're getting all this magic. So, for me, it's no big deal. I'm grateful that we've got this stuff. And, hearing this stuff for the first time, I remember just going, well, wow. I mean, that great wah intro, it's just, where he's singing and playing the wah and he's doing the trills, the cool vocal, and it kicks in, have mercy, and that rhythm he playing, that vamping he does with the Univibe pedal, it's amazing. For me, that stuff is what I sit and I just play constantly, even if I'm just sitting with my guitar on the couch or whatever. I just do that. I try to get that feel. It's very it's like relentless rhythm work, and there's lead lines played through bass lines. There's so much there, and you need to listen to this song loud. I turned this up very loud to listen to it. It probably annoyed my neighbors more than my guitar playing, because it was even louder. And I had a very loud listening to this, and where he does the vocal where he plays the lead line with the guitar and sings along with it. I love that stuff.
That's cool, isn't it?
Touching on obviously what you said, Andrew, it's definitely a Band of Gypsies lineup. The feel is very thick and undeniably Band of Gypsies. The little drum section in the middle is great. The solo tones are unbelievable. There's a phasing studio trickery maybe I picked up with some Octavia. Maybe I'm not 100% sure. I've listened to it a million times. I reckon there's some sort of phasing effect they've used, but might be studio trickery. I'm not sure. It's a great example of Hendrix jamming and keeping it, and the rhythm is the primary focus on the song. His rhythm playing is just what holds it down. The way outro is killer. I gave it 10 out of 10. It resonates with me probably more than you, Andrew, because of the univibe thing. It's my main reason I've got a Strat and I've got a univibe. They're like one instrument to me. They go together. They need to be together, and a wah pedal on top of that is just like icing on the cake. So 10 out of 10 for me, and I'm really grateful that we've got it. But there are other versions of Managed Boy that Hendrix has done, and it's worth checking them all out as well. There's slight variations of key, like instead of it being in B or half a step down in B, because he tuned everything predominantly half a semitone down or full tone down. Interestingly, with Band of Gypsies, he tuned down a whole tone. So instead of it being half a step like E flat, he was down to D for a lot of Band of Gypsies material, especially live. It gave it a slight bit more heaviness, I think, and it grooved better. But this one, it's E flat, I think, and he's playing. It's slight. It's funny because if you play along with this with your guitar in the E flat, the whole song, the whole guitar tuned down to E flat, it's slightly off. It's not
not quite.
So it's obviously that studio thing where they've just tuned together, and the bass and guitar have tuned together wherever they met in the middle. So
E flat-ish.
E flat-ish, but it's kind of leaning a tiny bit sharp from memory. But when I say sharp, it's like I'm being pedantic, but you can't sit and play along with the song.
No, you can't.
Unless you tune to it. So
I had a go, and it's like, it's in the middle. Oh, it's one of those in the middle.
10 out of 10 for me, and never a skip.
Yeah. And I'm not nearly good enough to be able to do that, pull it up a bit so that it's in tune. That's much too difficult. So agree. I mean, I don't have much more to say. I mean, I think the wah-wah guitar at the beginning is great, and then he does the classic "Everything's going to be all right this morning," which is, every blues song should start like that. So I'm pleased that we've got one that starts like that. Again, that kind of the sort of wild guitar and the lead and rhythm playing that he does is just amazing to me. Again, this is a 10 out of 10. I think it's fantastic. I think I can't get enough of Jimmy just hitting it out of the park, really. And clearly these songs are reasonably carefully chosen for great performances and carefully put together, so they make a song. But I mean, as I say, I find his playing intoxicating, blistering, because of that. And good morning to Great Vanzini, and good morning to Jeff T. Hope we're all good, guys. And so it's a 10 out of 10 from me. I'd never skip it. I think this is fantastic stuff.
Awesome, Simon. So Brad's going to get ready for a tick and tone tip, and before we do that, I'm just going to throw up some social media links here, guys. So if you just give me a second, there's Simon there. He's on Instagram. Easy, sub to Simon. If you guys don't have an Instagram account, you need to open one up. You need to get one, because Instagram is the place where it's all happening and cooking. And sub to Simon there. Easy, at Simon Williams 33. And there's Brad.
That's my age.
33. There's Brad there. Instagram, easy, at Brad Cook Music. Follow those guys there. They'll keep you up to date with what they do individually, but also what the channel's doing with any progress or any changes or any up and coming shows we've got. Will all be there. And one other thing, guys, give me a second. We are streaming on YouTube, obviously, and we're streaming on our 2 Facebook groups at the moment. We're streaming on that Facebook group there, All About the Blues, home of the British Electric Blues Show. Check us out there, and also on All Things Eric Clapton, the British Electric Blues Show. We're streaming on there as well. So if you want to join us there, you're more than welcome. Appreciate all the support. And if you get ready, I got a little video here to show. Make sure it's the right one. Don't want to show any of these other ones that are hiding here. Get the right one. There it is. Where is it? Oh, there he is.
Now it's time for Brad's Tech and Tone Tips.
We haven't played that for a while, have we?
That's so cool.
Every time you play that, Andrew, it's hilarious.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. I'm going to present you. Get rid of that.
Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to talk a little bit about, say, we were just discussing Managed Boy, and I thought, being the massive Univibe fan that I am, I just thought I might as well just dive a little bit deep into it. Now, guys, I don't claim to be able to play like Hendrix at all. I'm just a big fan, so, you know, I get nervous playing Hendrix stuff, just like everyone else probably does, you know. So pretty much that's my guitar tone in with no pedals. So that's pretty much Strat, Marshall. It's this Marshall head here with the period correct speakers. So they're 4x25 watt Celestians, which gives you that that sort of a bit thicker tone. Okay, so that's a really cool sound within itself. But as soon as Hendrix starts that song, he's got like a wah pedal. So it's
Oh yeah!
Oh yeah, baby.
That's the Hendrix thing. He's using, I'll note, his neck pickup, which is obviously the neck position here, which he uses quite a lot. I mean, he uses everything. We know that. So, but you know, where he's like, everything's gonna be all right, small. And
So Hendrix, that is, isn't it?
on, and he's like,
Yeah, man. Oh, fantastic. Yo, man. Well, hey.
The beautiful thing that Hendrix always does, and he changes it up every time. So if you listen closely, sometimes he's using that where he goes and I also want to note he uses his thumb over the fret across the fretboard like this, as opposed to playing a chord like that. Yeah, so he was big on thumb over, because that's where he grabs the so yeah, that's where much, what I wanted to show, guys. The Univibe set very fast, like it's actually faster than I normally play.
Brad is the shit. Brad is the shit.
Yeah.
Fuzz, actually. The fuzz is the way he uses the fuzz. So he's already got a fairly driven tone. So this is like a. It's a fairly driven tone, but he uses it just so edgy and thickens up the tone a bit. So if you put the univibe on with it.
Yeah. See,
So don't get me
if
started
you
on
want,
the hours, but so that in itself, and he does not in particularly in that song, but he loved using that middle position.
I'll present you.
yeah.
He loved using that. So that tone that he used to.
Yeah.
That tone as well. And he loved doing like those Elmore James. If that makes sense. And so yeah, just guys, you got to get into some of these licks and the way he used to play with the summer with the fretboard, you know. And I think
see that is just brilliant. That rhythm, that stuff, it just kills me every time. That's just so cool.
And just that's what that's what I mean. Sitting there playing that, Hendrix was just the master of rhythm, and he played like I'm playing with my pick instead of playing with my pick with the pointy edge out. Playing it with that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like if you say you're doing it sort of gives it more of a rounded tone. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So you can drag those notes. In Red House.
Beautiful.
And that's because of the pick like that, guys.
Yeah, man.
Just makes it that
cool. Yeah.
So, Bruce, if you're watching this, you've just been given an example of someone playing rhythm and lead at the same time. All right, mofo. Okay.
One song, if you're talking about rhythm and lead at the same time, Axis Boulder's Love.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's just phenomenal. It's all like that. It's beautiful. I mean, I can't even play it properly, but that's that whole rhythm. That rhythm, you know, that rhythm style is amazing. That whole, you know.
Look at that. Wow.
That's really
Well done,
good.
Brad. That's fantastic.
There
See,
you go,
if you want to have proper demonstrations by people, this is the channel to be on. Brad got Michael doing his clap stuff. It's just fantastic. Really cool. That's really cool. Such
Thank
a
you.
great song as well.
Yeah.
But brilliant.
Thank you,
Bro,
guys.
I'm just sitting here with this big grin on my face, and I don't think I can say much after. But look,
yeah, and we're not joining in on this Johnny Heartbreaker. Thanks for that.
I got told off for swearing last week, so I'm not swearing this week. But there's a nice word you can say after a comment like that, John. Couple of words.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you've been around the block a few times.
Would that be scaredy cats? Yeah, we're scaredy cats. We're not following Brad. That's not happening.
No. You know, the fire's been lit. The Stratocaster's burnt, baby.
Yeah.
You know, there's you know, we're just going to go and snort the ashes. And Brad, wonderful. Thank you for that.
Yes, look at that. Yes.
Oh, here we go.
There it is. Flames. The flames. Brilliant, man. That is brilliant. Oh, dear.
Everybody in the
stuff,
chat
Brad.
been blown away.
Stuff. Yeah, fantastic.
You probably haven't seen the chat, bro, but when you were playing, but everybody is blown away, and rightly so. And
thank you so much.
Yeah. But thank you very much for those tips.
Yeah,
you know,
fantastic demo.
Insight into getting, a Hendrixy kind of tone, and obviously it's certainly in Brad's fingers too, isn't it, Simon?
Yeah.
A lot of a lot of it is all about, the Stratocaster vibe. I mean, a maple neck makes a big difference in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I'm not quoting to say that you need a maple neck to sound like Hendrix, because Hendrix used a rosewood as well. But for the tones I like, I think the maple neck makes a big difference. And you don't necessarily need to spend thousands of dollars on a decent Strat as well, which we're speaking about in the green room. So that's probably another episode altogether, Andrew, maybe in problem.
D-Tube is saying, if you don't follow Brad on the tone tips, maybe you can give us tips on a proper cup of tea. That's much more in my wheelhouse.
Not sure I'm good at making tea, but
Yeah. Well, yes. What D-Tube doesn't know is that I drink green tea, not. So the question about making tea is: do you put the milk in first or the milk in afterwards? There we are.
I'll go back and I'll look at some of the comments, guys. But thank you so much. And all you guitarists out there, like, I'm not, claiming to be anything, any sort of player that can play like Hendrix. I'm not a Hendrix client. I sit and practice his licks, and that's, what we're talking about. I'm passionate about what we're talking about within the comments. I used to sit for hours and just learn one lick and over and over and over, and just, do. That's where it is. It's time in the hands. It's not necessarily, and no one's ever going to be able to play like Hendrix. Let's be honest. He was one of a kind. So all we can do is be disciples of what he did and carry the flame, and that's it.
Well done, bro.
Brand is available for a large fee to teach you how to play like Jimi Hendrix.
I like you. I like that, Simon. Yeah, I'll do it for money.
Yeah.
It's all an income stream, Brad. It's all an income stream.
You can be my promoter now, Simon. All right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll sell you. Yeah. Learn to play like Hendrix with Brad Cook.
Thank you for that, bro. I appreciate that. That's wonderful. Go back and check out the
fantastic.
The what do you call it? The the comments, and I'm going to do what Michael has been doing on the Clapton shows. I'm going to work out how to do some editing so I can edit those tone tips and just put them out, as a separate video. So thank you, bro. Awesome.
Yeah.
The next song that we're doing, guys, according to my list here, is Once I Had a Woman, and recorded on January the 23rd, 1970 at the record plant in New York, and it was the final studio session of the Band of Gypsies. And we have now, if you guys haven't heard this song, go and check it out, because the stage is set now for Slow Blues by Jimi Hendrix. You've got a warm, clean guitar tone going on here, a little bit different from what Brad was just presenting to us in his tech and tone tip section. So, I think the contrast with this song with the other songs on this album is remarkable. Again, we love talking about song placement and tonal variations, don't we, guys? And the way that an album as a whole can tell a journey or tell a story. I love the way that this is put in there. What have I got here? You've got the elastic string bends, 2 minutes, the harmonica as well, which is interesting. And we couldn't identify the harmonica player. I don't know who it is. Apparently it's some guy called Don. I got told years and years ago that it was Paul Butterfield, but I don't know. If it was Paul Butterfield,
didn't sound like Paul Butterfield to me. But
no. But this is just conversations that you have with people who are trying to put one and one together. But we don't know who Don is. And you got the wah wah. Look, I'm going to leave the rest because there's a whole. I've made some lists here of the uni vibe, and you got Cox and Miles blending well together with their rhythm section, which is a standout for the band. I'm going to pass it over to Brad and Simon and see what they have to say. I'm going to give this song, because it's different, I'm going to give it 10 out of 10, and it's never a skip. But I'm not going to Brad score
it. Once I Had a Woman, it's basically, to me, this is some blues studio jamming. It sounds like could have been a studio outtake or even a warm-up in the studio just to get themselves into the mode for ready to start recording. There's some slight crackle going on in the mix, and I'm kind of thinking it might be coming from the bass. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure if you guys picked up on that, but there's a little bit of crackle or distortion going on there, like that sort of clipping sort of noise. This is obviously it's Band of Gypsies era for sure. I can definitely hear.
So that's at the 3-minute mark?
Yeah, there's a bit of noise here and there, yeah.
Yeah, so apparently that's where Hendrix filters his guitar through the wah pedal. It's got something to do with that.
Okay. So yeah, like around that 5:20 mark where Hendrix ramps up the fuzz and the drums go double time, that's really cool. Well, look, should this be on the album? To us Hendrix fans, yes. I'm sure Hendrix probably wouldn't have wanted people to hear this because it was just like a jam warm-up.
Good point.
But I dare say, it's kind of like us Hendrix nuts are crying to hear more Hendrix stuff, whether it's perfect or not. But to Hendrix, he was such a perfectionist. I don't know whether he'd be keen on people hearing this. Not that it's bad, it's great, but I know just from listening to the finished products that Hendrix put out as opposed to what we're listening to here. You got to remember these are probably jams in the studio warming up, so he's in a different mode to recording mode. I gave it 8 out of 10. because at first, for me, it kind of felt like they probably shouldn't have. I mean, I love hearing it, but for the masses that don't know Hendrix and they hear this, like, what are they going to think? You know what I mean? It's not perfect. It's not 100% polished as Hendrix would have wanted it to sounded. So, but again, 8 out of 10 for me, and never a skip.
That's a good point, because I'm just looking at my notes here that I've missed. So I think you've made a good point, because towards the end there, you've got conventional blues lines that have defined the first part of the song, and then you've got these, it closes with these sound bites, which, a little bit interesting, which, so, I think he was probably doing something in this song, before they were going to record something. So the point about it being a jam session or a jam song, on reflection with your comments, makes it pretty clear in my head now. So I probably gave it. Yeah, I might need to renegotiate that. Simon, I'll be interested to hear what you've given that, because I'm probably giving it too high a score. Simon,
well, I'm with Brad on this. I think that I love Hendrix's playing and stuff like that. But I'm with you, Brad. I think that probably I would probably chop some of it out. I think 7:49 is quite long, and as you say, they're just kind of warming up in the studio and kind of, I hesitate to say messing about, but just kind of getting into it and stuff. And therefore, I agree with you. There's some great stuff on it, great playing, but I wouldn't give this more than an 8 out of 10. And I'm conscious that I don't think that you wouldn't play this is a deep cut to me. This is a deep cut, and this is something that, as Brad says quite correctly, that for Hendrix fans, only 3 official studio albums, some live stuff, there's a desperation to hear what else is, in the can. And I think that is, one of the factors driving, so this album for me is quite a sort of deep cut Hendrix album, and therefore, for me, it's like that. So I'd give it an 8 out of 10, and it's not a skip, but I'm conscious that for myself, that it's a bit of a jam and stuff like that, and it's not a classic song by Hendrix. It's just them having a bit of a tilt in the studio, and I think it needs to be, for me, it needs to be scored like that, really.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I think I was too excited.
Well, you get taken over by the playing. You get taken over by the fact it's Jimi Hendrix, don't you? I'm with you all the way on that. As a thing. Did you notice at 7:10 he does that kind of horse sound with the wah wah?
Yeah.
Just the once.
Look, I mean, in all fairness, though, this is a Hendrix collector's album anyway. Really, it's not for the masses. So, don't take me the wrong way there either, guys. In the context of the songs that are on here, it's probably one of the weaker ones, maybe that, for me.
Yeah. In the context of the album, but I think the album did really, really well. I think it was a number 1 here. So, but I'm going to renegotiate my score and give it a 9. So the album continues with another one of Jimmy's favorite blues musicians, Elmore James, who went on to, influence a whole generation of guitar players that we've spoken about and talked about. Brian Jones from the Rolling Stones, Jeremy Spencer from Fleetwood Mac, so, Elmore James is, a guy that we have to check out in our journey of discovering these authentic Black American blues guys. Check them out. So the song that we're going to talk about is Bleeding Heart. So it's what's the word they use? It's a split personality song, isn't it? Because if you listen to the version on Southern Delta, And then you hear this version, which is slow and steady pacing. Yeah, I'm just trying to read my notes here. So, this version's recorded at the recording plant again, 69, with the bands of Gypsies, with Cox on bass and Miles on drums. It's a compact, focused song, relatively brief central solo by Jimi. I'm going to give the song probably 9 out of 10. I had 8. I'm looking here at my score of 8, but I listened to the album again this morning. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. And I'll be keen to, again, hear what you guys have to say about it. Brad.
Okay, well, I thought this was a Band of Gypsies era version.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. So for me, I can really tell that it's like got that sort of groove that they always put to things. I mean, it's I think, I'm not sure the exact date, but maybe some Hendrix nuts might be able to chime in and let us know. But it sounds like a very pre-Band of Gypsies announcement, like lineup, if you know what I mean, of this song. So if you got to listen to this song with your lights turned down and crank it up. I think it's the best way to get the depth of this song. It's a great lesson in blues guitar in this song. It's full of amazing licks and playing. There's some great bluesy vocals as well. The call and response guitar vocals, I love how Hendrix does that. That's something that he borrowed and utilized from his blues heroes as well. So for me, that is something that's very highlighted in this song. The solo is amazing. His phrasing is outstanding. And I will reiterate this again, and I've said it a couple of times, but, new guitarists or guitarists, even like myself, that I call myself a Hendrix nut, but I still rediscover new things every time I listen to Hendrix. Sitting there playing along with the lick, I go, right, I'm going to try and nail that. Sit and listen to this, investigate it, study the playing, study the timing of the licks. He doesn't always come in on the one. He's lags a bit sometimes with his licks, and phenomenal playing, phenomenal version. I gave it a 9 out of 10 as well. It's a deep cut it's a deep cut. Let's just put it there. It's something that I'm not sure I'd play it to, like Red House is something I would play to someone immediately, where this is not necessarily like that, but still to me, it's equally as good in that sense, where it's got some amazing guitar playing in it and whatnot. So yeah, 9 out of 10 for me. Simon?
Just a small thing. Will Varela says that the harmonica playing, the reason the credit goes to Don on that album is because Jimmy played it himself. How do I know? He gave the harmonica to Elvis. Yeah, it's a cool bit of a thanks, Will.
There you go.
Wow.
That's cool. So, I think that you're right. You do get into the deep cuts here, don't you? I mean, I think that this is the first thing I said about the song. It's 3 minutes 26, and actually, it's all the better for being 3 minutes 26. I think, rather than much longer kind of jam thing. For me, it's a very tight, organized song. It's got verses, solo, verse, end. And I like that organization. I think that he does. I think the solo is fantastic. Great blistering runs, passionate playing, but it's within a 3 minute song. So I'd certainly give it a 9 out of 10. It's not a skip, but I agree, Brad. It is a deep cut. These are all, these kind of end ones are deep cuts and things. So I think you have to take it with that. But yeah, it's great. I loved it as a thing. But
Awesome. Cool. I'm glad that I wasn't too far off the mark. Jam 292 or Jelly 292 apparently. The initial apparently this song was recorded 1 week before Bleeding Heart. and we get a light mood in the blues with this song. It's apparently loosely based on a composition by Duke Ellington, Doogie Woogie. So, certainly Jimmy was, entrenched in jazz as well, listening to a lot of that stuff for a long, long time. The song's numeric identification title has its origin from the multi-track recording box. Hendrix kicks off this version of the jam with a near comical sort of solo intro, and then he's joined by Cox on bass and Mitch on drums. Sharon Lane adds good vibes with her piano work, which is interesting. And you've got who's a Tennessee keyboard player, recommended to Jimmy by Cox. You got some cat playing trumpet that no one knows. Considering the wah-wah pedal was designed to emulate the muting of a trumpet, so it's pretty interesting that Jimmy adds, generous amount and of that through the song. The lack of the actual trumpet is okay. Guys, 6 minutes of fun. That's about it. I'm going to give it 8 out of 10 because it's fun. I think. It's something. I'm going to echo that Brad and Simon said with the previous 2 songs. It's not something that you'd give to someone who hadn't heard Hendrix to listen to, but in the context of this album, it has a place. So, but I'm still giving it 8 out of 10. Again, be interested to see what my co-hosts have to say. It's one of the great things about going first.
Yes, there's a blessing and a curse with going first. So for me, Jelly 292. I love the intro with the wah. This is where Stevie Ray Vaughan borrowed some ideas from, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I hear Stevie Ray Vaughan's Soul to Soul and things like that, like just the wah. I hear it. This is where,
Hey,
we know that Stevie Ray Vaughan was heavily influenced by Hendrix, but we're not going to go into that right now. Miss Mitchell's drumming is outstanding. Billy Cox is amazing. Not sure if he gets the credit he deserves, Billy Cox.
Good point.
He's phenomenal. Even doubling some of Jimmy's licks halfway through it. Billy Cox is like a steam train. He never stops playing. He plays the right thing all the time. He holds it down in some of those really long jams, in Woodstock and everything like that. Billy's the one holding that band together, really. So well done, Billy. Great playing on this. The piano is a nice touch, adds a cool vibe to it. Obviously a jam session that ended up being recorded. Again, not sure if it was intended for an album or not, but I'll give it a 9 out of 10 because I love the intro. I love that this does something for me.
Yeah, that well intro. Yeah. I mean, I think so. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. I think, that it's a jam and it's a couple of jams put together and stuff. So, yeah, it's got some great playing in it, blistering solo in it at 2 minutes and stuff, and slightly different vibe with the piano and things. But, it's an 8 out of 10 from me. It's not as good. But I think, again, these are, these kind of jammy ones at the end are kind of, for me, kind of deep cuts and therefore not quite worthy of 9s or 10s. Not. I agree with you about the rhythm section. I mean, any rhythm section with Jimi Hendrix as its frontman is going to be a bit in the shadows, isn't it? If it's Mitch and Noel, or whether it's the Billies, they're you're going to be a bit in the shade, aren't you? So good shout out to them because they are fantastic musicians and they absolutely hold their ends up, give it stuff. So that's me, awesome. Doc.
So we're on par. Thank you, Simon. That's good. So the next track guys, is Electric Church Red House. So we see another keyboardist introduced into this number, a guy called Lee. I'm assuming it's a guy called Lee Michaels, recorded apparently in that magical month of October in '68, when the Jimi Hendrix Experience were camped in California, playing those fantastic series at the Winterland, and recording whenever possible. This track was apparently committed to tape October 29, and apparently Douglas decided to fuse into the beginning of this piece 40 seconds of an introductory chat by Jimmy over a wash of sound from an earlier jam. Yeah, I'd be interested to see what you guys think about that. The song is taken for the most part from the late '68 in concert structure. What am I reading here? Jimmy makes most of Michael providing that sympathetic wave of organ notes and chords. What else am I going to say here? Guys, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. Again, an interesting song. Not one of Douglas's best concoctions, but yeah, better than the other three songs, guys. But I'm still going to give it a 9.
Yeah. Look, Electric Church Red House. Like I like listening to this. I like the vibe of the song. The trills at the start and the chatting's a nice touch, but it for me it does feel like a jam. It doesn't. Not sure if it was ever intended for a record, if that makes sense. So Jimmy would jam all the time, from my understanding. He was literally always inviting people to jam with him, jam with other musicians, in the studio, jamming on stage, jamming at sound checks. So obviously he was in the studio, they hit record, and they used to record pretty much every jam. They used to record it. And, my understanding too, Andrew, is that it is a composite of a couple of jams. So where the two join, I'm not sure. I have no real knowledge of that. But, yeah, I mean, that the whole bit where he's like, it's all freedom, and, I love Jimmy's vibe. It's amazing. There's some amazing blues licks in it. The cool organ vamping is great. To me, it doesn't sound like a Strat. It sounds like a Flying V or a SG. It's got that humbuckery tone to it for me. I would dare say it's probably more the Flying V, tonality-wise. There's some fantastic jamming in it, and the band's vibing. So it's good to hear it, in the context of the record. It's great to be on there, and I'm grateful it's on there, but I gave it a 9 out of 10. So I'm on par with you, Andrew, there.
Yeah,
cool.
Lee Michaels was an American rock musician who still alive, who sings and covers himself on organ, piano or guitar. Best known for his powerful, soulful voice and his energetic virtuosity on the Hammond organ, peaking in 1971 with his top 10 hit single, Do You Know What I Mean?, which I'm not familiar with at all. But yeah, he went around for a long time in the 60s playing, so just thought I'd chuck that bit of info in. Yes, I think, as I say, we're getting into the jamming end of things. I'd give this an 8 out of 10. I think, again, this is another kind of jam thing, instrumental. It's got vocals, but yeah, clearly messing about in the studio and not really intended, two jams put together, kind of thing. So a bit of editing. So again, I love the playing. I think the blistering lead guitar over over the bass drums and organ, and it's. I love the fact that it's like at the end it's like fizzing feedback guitar. It's just it's like he's got it under control, but it's like wild horses a bit, but which is always a thrill. But so for me, 8 out of 10, and it's a jam. It's not I enjoy it very much. It's not a skip, but I think it only for that jamming session, it's an 8 out of 10.
Awesome. Right, the final track, guys, is a stunning version of Hear My Trainer Coming from Berkeley, 1970. It was first issued on Hendrix and the West album. And then we've got, a sound of Hendrix creating an entirely alternative blues, music that's distilled from all formats, rooted in the past, with his heavy new brew that's coming along. And once we taste it, we can never go back. The electric version of Hear My Trainer Coming is a perfect last track to this album. It's the logical conclusion, I think, to the album. And despite Alan Douglas's reputation for abusing source materials from Hendrix in the past, his composition assemblies on Voodoo Child Blues and Manish Boy can be forgiven, because of the spectacular results he's got. And, let's not forget, that others that were in charge of the Hendrix legacy over the years too are no strangers to studio wizardry of slicing and editing and, doing all kinds of tricks, for and with Hendrix's material. So where does this album, this compilation sit, in the scheme of things with myself and the co-hosts? Well, for me, it's a masterpiece, even though there are some low-ranking songs on the album. But in the context of the album and what this album, meant for me in 1994, it will be a pinnacle record as far as myself personally. There are some mandatory blues songs on there that blues guitar players have to listen to. But I think it's an album that Hendrix fans can talk to with other people who may not be Hendrix fans. So, it's a conversation piece. I love the album, and the song just makes up for 3 or 4 of those interesting jams. Brad. Oh, did I give it a score?
10?
20 out of 10.
20 out of 10. Look, Hear My Trainer Coming, and it's always been one of my favorite songs, regardless of what version it is. I love the song. And I've always loved the Rainbow Bridge concert performances, and they're phenomenal. And everything from the tones, he's singing, the playing, there's just some sort of magic in that performance. Hear My Trainer Coming bookended it, the start of the album, at the end of the album. We got the acoustic version, we got the electric version. This has got an amazing intro. I love the playing. It's very unique. His style is highlighted in this song, his very unique style. There's some amazing jamming and improvised playing. This highlights Jimmy's love for open string licks, as well as going up, that 12 position pentatonic scale lick, and, venturing into that Voodoo Child lick as well, and things like that. You can hear, if you're really interested, you can hear Jimmy while he's playing. He starts tuning one of his strings by ear just because it's out a little bit. That's part of the era. Like, Jimmy would just do that. And obviously something that was quite amazing. Jimmy used to be able to just on the fly fix things. They had a lot of problems with technical issues and stuff like that back in those days, and just got through it somehow. And that in my opinion is a seasoned musician that can just keep going and not let little things like that phase them. Mitch and Billy are holding it down. amazing. I loved how after the Band of Gypsies, Mitch started playing a little bit more straighter and a little bit funkier, still with that swing though. His style changed a little bit. Now I don't know whether that was intentional, whether he's heavily influenced by Buddy Miles or not. I don't know, but I know he always admired him and looked up to him. So maybe he heard Buddy Miles's work with Jimmy and thought, I'm going to try and play a little bit like that as well. But Mitch would allow himself to do his swing thing and stuff as well. I love the wire use at 6 minutes 20 and onwards sort of thing. Is this my absolute favorite version of Hear My Train A Coming? No. My favorite version is from Fillmore East concerts with Band of Gypsies. Absolutely love that version.
Yep.
But this is an amazing version as well, and I have to give it 20 out of 10. Simon.
Well, I couldn't agree more. It's a fantastic version of this song. I mean, I think that in sort of contrast to what we've had with the previous jams, this is clearly Jimmy at his absolute finest for me. I love the fact that the guitar is so loud; it's just on the edge of feedback. It's in the verse, it's like holding on to this wild horse to kind of keep it under control. And I've written down words like sonic assault and things like that. I just find it awe-inspiring, that the kind of the noise, the vibe of it. Just while I'm playing a crescendo, you get this kind of, especially at the end, this free solo at the end over sort of the drums, just almost apocalyptic sounding to me. As I said earlier, it's kind of that unleashing of some wild thing, like the Hulk or something, or that it just knows no fear. I find it amazing that just truly amazing that somebody has that, it flows through them clearly and it just comes out in that way. And as I say, for me, that's why he's, for me, the greatest guitarist, because of that, because I don't think anybody else does that like that, that kind of thing. So it's a 20 out of 10 from me, and they're amazing. I mean, other versions for sure, but it is an astonishing piece of virtuosity and music for me. So, and I absolutely loved it. 20 out of 10.
Awesome,
do you
guys.
think I'm a Hendrix fan?
Yeah. Well, who wouldn't be? But yeah. No, look, I think the album needs to be negotiated. We always try to offer our best and honest interpretations, guys, and in no way is our scoring a reflection of a negative aspect of Jimmy, or we're just rating the song by itself and in the context of the album, which is something that we're true to doing on the show, isn't it? And good to see no one had any ridiculously crazy scores like 3 or 4 or 7. Good to see that Brad didn't have to use his timeout.
Brad's not timing out himself on Hendrix for sure.
No, I was pretty confident. Yeah. But to be sure, I wasn't too sure how you guys would go on those jams too. So I wasn't sure. But interesting to see that we're in the context, of similar scores. So that's pretty good.
I think you're right, Andrew. It does have to be taken in the context of this is a deep cuts album in many ways, and you wouldn't be recommending this to the casual fan anytime soon, would you? As a thing, so I think it's really worth saying that.
It has its place in the in the releases that have come after Hendrix passed. It's got its place in there. There's a lot of studio stuff. There's a lot of stuff that didn't necessarily make albums that Hendrix wasn't happy with, and they've come out later because Hendrix nuts want to hear it. That's the point. But for the general public that's never, ever heard a Hendrix song, you wouldn't point this album at them. Definitely not.
No.
But if you had a guy that was a guitar player and he came up to you and he said, hey, I just discovered Jimi Hendrix. I've been playing some Hendrix stuff for about 6 months, 18 months or something like that. What you want to do, because you want to be really cool, you want to say, and he's probably listened to the 3 studio albums. A lot of cats don't check out compilation albums. So, you could be like, the wise man from Orientar or whatever. And you can say, hey, check out this song, check out Blues. Go and check that out. Go and play a couple of those songs, and then come back to me.
Come back to it. It's like, as Jimmy would say, it's really groovy. It's really out of sight, man.
Let's see. Yeah. Do you want to? Let me just. I'm going to make a small defense of Alan Douglas, because I think Alan Douglas, he's sort of the curator of the Hendrix of estate, but I think he clearly comes under quite a lot of pressure for them to release stuff. No, not from you, but from the estate and possibly the record company to release stuff. Therefore, what does he do? Does he say it's not happening and somebody else does it? Or does he say, well, I'll see what I can figure out and do it? I mean, I kind of feel like that's what he's taking the latter course, and I think he shouldn't be pilloried too much for that, because I think if you've got a talent such as Hendrix, people are going to want to dig into it as much as possible, aren't they?
Well, Wolfgang Van Halen's going to have that similar situation in the future, isn't he?
He is, absolutely, and I'm sure he'll be fine navigating that, and he's got Alex Van Halen as well as the kind of the old head to to keep it. But you don't. They're going to come under pressure to delve into all that stuff that Eddie did in his own studio, and kind of is there anything worth releasing? Are there songs there? Are there jams? Are there kind of clearly Eddie didn't think they were worth releasing in his lifetime. Therefore, I think that you have to be careful of that stuff, don't you? But, yeah.
But fans want to hear it. To be fair.
We just show this a minute. This is a little poster I found. Look at that for a lineup. Spalding Links, Tulip Bulb Auction Hall, Jimi Hendrix Roots, Cream, Gino Washington, Pink Floyd, The Move, and Zoot Money in his big roll band. And how much is it? A pound.
50p?
A pound. Look at the bottom. A pound. Pay at the door. A pound. There you are. Kids, look at that. It's what you could get for a pound in 1967.
Wilbur era. Van Who.
Yes. Van Morrison. Surely.
Thank you, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with me.
Can I show one more thing, just because Great Vanity talking about tuners. Look at this for a tuner, guys. Look at that.
Cool.
That's a tuner from the late 70s. I think I've had it. My brother bought it back for me from America. It's it's got the button for the which you adjust for each string. Manuals busting of the string. Still works as well. It's really good.
Awesome.
That's for the Great Vanzini. Talking about tuners. Yeah.
Awesome, guys. It's been
Thank you very much, guys.
Always a pleasure hanging out with you guys. We've been on air for 2 hours and 18 minutes. Guess what? Brad's going to come on tomorrow, and he's going to lead all you ever wanted to know about Lenny Kravitz show. So we're going to be on tomorrow for an hour and a half talking about Lenny Kravitz. Simon did one a couple of months ago, all you ever wanted to know about Bob Dylan. So I was having a chat to Brad off air a couple of shows ago, and we found out that we're both Lenny Kravitz nuts. So Brad's going to come on, and he's got nothing to do because he's in lockdown, so he can prepare this wonderful, awesome show for everybody.
It's going to be it's going to be a fun little loose show talking about some songs that you should be, if you haven't heard, delving into, and a few little tips and tricks and maybe a few things. We'll leave it fairly loose, Andrew. We'll have a good time and get you guys in the chat to join in. Yeah.
Awesome. Who's
what time are you going on, guys? What time are you going on?
6:30 New Zealand time. So no point asking Brad because he's going to be locked up in home, so that's fine. So 6:30 my time. So do you want to come on?
Well, I don't know anything about Lenny Kravitz at all, really.
All right. Okay.
I mean,
we'll just do it the two of us then.
Are You Going My Way? Okay. Of course, and various other. He's got a new single out that's being played on the radio. But no, I wouldn't have added a thing.
So yeah, that's gonna be interesting because I see a connection. I see a connection with Jimi Hendrix. Sorry, Jimmy. Oh my gosh, with Lenny Kravitz. And a lot of the music we talk about. I listened to, again, Mama Said this morning because we were talking about that's a great album. So, but I look forward to Brad's going to give you guys some key recordings to check out, and that's one of the great things about this. So we're going to do some of these shows midweek. I'm going to get Simon to do some of these shows on a Monday. All you ever want to know about kind of things, and we're just going to talk about an hour and a half and just, offer a succinct thing. That's a little bit different from what we do with the Sunday show. So I think that might be pretty cool. Who's picked for next week?
I think it's mine, isn't it?
Yep.
Have you got a selection?
My pick for next week. I've got two. I'm wondering. I'll show them. It doesn't matter. Between these two. There you are.
Hold on.
Either one.
I'll tell you what. Do you mind if? Do you mind if we do this one? It's not a blues album, but
never heard of it.
Well, I think that might be fun to do it. And
okay, never heard of it.
No preconceived. You've heard of clearly of Ian Hunter from What the Who.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I've never heard that album
never heard this
cover. Unless there's some songs on there that maybe I've heard, but that album.
No, I don't think you would have done. I don't think there's any great hits on it or anything.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do this one. Just you can decide. The other one was much more classic, kind of Rolling Stones, it's only rock and roll, which we can do another week. But
cool.
But yeah, let's do that one. Just I'd be interested to see. And you don't have to like it, by the way. Okay, I'm fine if people that don't like it.
No, we'll check it out. I obviously we know who he is, but I'm not familiar with that record at all.
Okay. Oh, cool. Good. Let's do that one then. Let's do something good.
Awesome. I'll do a link for that, and I'll throw that up on for you guys to share. But sub to the channel, guys, and if you guys are going to be around tomorrow, we're 8:30 here at the moment, so we'll be going live now 2 hours earlier than what we are now. Does that make sense? So wherever you are now, and if you're watching this and you want to hear and listen all about Lenny Kravitz, that should be cool.
We might even go over a couple of little things here and there. It should be fun. So, but we'll just go over a few songs that are essential listening, I think.
Yeah. That's what I like. I think Simon, when he did all you ever need to know about Bob Dylan, that was pretty good. So I think if we can do something like this, just to throw in the mix of things, that'll be really, really cool. Subscribe to the channel too, because the 5150 show next Saturday might be really, really interesting. So I can't tell you anything about that until we've got those confirmed. But if you haven't already, guys, subscribed to, give me a second, if you haven't already subscribed to Brad, there he is there, Instagram at Brad Cook Music. And Simon, where's Simon? There's Simon there.
Where is he?
We'll keep you up to date with what we're going to do. I'll do a link for Ian. That'll be cool. There's a few cats in the chat looking forward to that one, the Ian one. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I am certainly going to be very interested because I don't know that album at all. What about you, Brad? Heard that album at all? Are you familiar with that album?
To be honest with you, I've got a greatest hits of Ian Hunter, I think it is. I've got Motley Hoople stuff.
Me too.
So I don't know if I've, to be honest with you, I've given this album much of a go. So it'd be definitely a good one to dive into.
Yeah. But yeah, by the way, guys, this is, I mean, I've been wanting to do this a little bit, just broaden it out a bit and kind of, maybe introduce you to albums you hadn't heard before. And then it is very much to see if you like it. And it's fine if it's not, if it's not the thing for you, then I'm absolutely fine with that as a position. That's cool,
Are you saying you might see a bit of this, Simon?
Yeah. No, not necessarily at all. But there'll be no timing out because I don't. I mean, clearly, the fact that I like it and I have it as an album, I don't mean to think I think everybody else should like it by a distance. So
cool.
I'm interested to see. I quite like introducing. If people haven't heard it, Andrew, if you haven't heard it at all before, I think it'd be really interesting to see if you think it's any cop or not.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome,
cool.
guys.
Thank you for indulging me.
Before I get Simon to say goodbye to everybody in the chat, I want to do a special shout out to Sonia, who has been sharing our channel, and she hasn't joined us in the chat. Special shout out always to Warren. Again, we'll always take any opportunity we can to send anything we can your way, brother. Will, thank you for the kind comments, especially. Mark, thank you for sharing our channel. And who else? There was someone else, Mark, and at the top of the chat. Forgive me. D-Tube. Thank you for sharing our channel. We just appreciate hanging out with you guys. We're just three cats who love talking about music, and the fact that you guys are on 20 watching us, offering some comments is humbling.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. So absolutely second that. And so thanks to Arvin, Hugh Caldwell, Will Varela. Great stuff, Will. Mark Tanner. Thanks, Mark. The Dogpa, of course. Teresa, Maria De Souza. D-Tube. Great Vanzini. Thanks, Great Vanzini, for dropping by. Robot Master Switch. Just try and get everybody. Brad Cook.
Ban him.
Yeah, it's bad. We had some of the. I can only go back so far. That's all the people I've got, guys, and the chat that I've got. So, thanks for it. Yeah, shout out to Warren. Hope you're right, Warren, and Sonia, and everybody else who knows us. Thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you next week for a bit of Ian out there.
Humbly now my ex-wife. Jeff T, thank you, brother.
Yeah, Jeff T. Yes, Jeff, thank you very much. And Johnny Bean and Jay 7/8 and all the guys from the Johnny Bean
from
raid.
The raid. Hey guys, we get 1,000 subscribers, and wouldn't it be great?
His mansion.
Wouldn't it be great for us to go and with all our cats in the chat when we finish our show to go and offer some raids to some channels, because I appreciate Johnny doing that for us. All the help that we get for our channels always appreciated, and we do talk about it, don't we, guys? We do comment on it. I know that Brad talks about it a lot on air, so I'm probably stealing a bit of his thunder, but I know it's a thing that Brad likes to bring up, but we do talk about it. Sorry, bro.
No. Not stepping on toes, bro. That's all
right. Brad's got some exercise to do. He's got to go and run around the block 4 times after this.
I'm allowed out for 2 hours a day for 5 kilometers. So, how many times can I run 5 kilometers?
You've got to walk very slowly to do 5 kilometers in 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's those rendezvous that you got to be careful of, bro, in that time.
And on that note,
on that note, let's end it
on that
there.
bombshell.
We're at 2 minutes. We're at 2 hours 30. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. It's amazing. We've had like 20 or so people chatting along with us at the same time. So we really appreciate that. Everyone else that watches it later, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed our little Hendrix blues album ranking and deep dive. So thank you guys. Thanks for all the wonderful comments as well. And look, take care and stay safe out there. It's just stay safe.
Wild and crazy place.
Yep.
Okay.
One thing before I go, guys, check out my video. I put a video on the channel about some plans that I've got with a Telecaster versus So if you guys can take the time, please, and just have a look at that and make some comments and whatever we decide, I'll do that on air. And it'll just another little side project for us to talk about. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, look, I'm looking forward to that too, Andrew. Looking forward to that.
Cool. Over and out. Bye, guys. Take care.